What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Katoya. I am an aspiring professional arm wrestler from South Florida. I was raised in New York City, but moved to Florida a few years ago where I started training with a lot of the guys in the pro circuit down here. We got a lot of tournaments here every year in South Florida, a lot. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of my competition videos and match breakdowns and analysis. I'm also going to be sharing my thoughts on a lot of upcoming matches and events like East versus West 12. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Devon and Levan match. I'm also going to be talking about a little bit about my training, what I do. I'm going to talk about, and this is probably the most important subject in this video, the differences between the Devon lift, how Levan is doing it and how Devon's doing it. The differences between them, the key aspects that make the lift that Levan is doing significantly easier than the lift that Devon is doing. So that'll be a little bit toward the end because I'm going to put the laptop down on the floor here and give you an actual demonstration while I explain the difference in the lift. So, we got Levan and Devon. I think that Devon is going to crack that wrist back in round one, honestly. First match, I wanted Devon to win. I would have loved for him to win. I thought it was possible for him to win if he would have found something a little sooner and of course didn't get injured. But I knew that Levan was definitely the favorite, and I predicted that he would most likely win that match, and he very much did. Definitively, in dominant fashion, he injured Devon. You know, you could say he was overtrained or whatever, but I mean, still, he generated the torque that Devon was able to tear himself on, whatever. Levan is a beast. He's the pinnacle of strength in this sport that we've seen. That being said, I think this time Devon's going to sweep him 6-0. I think that in round one, he's going to take his hand. It's going to be a bit of a dogfight for those first two rounds, and then I don't think it's going to be much of a fight after that. I think that Devon's going to defeat Levan easier than Devon defeated Georgi Svetkov. And I'll tell you what, Devon took a little bit of a rest after Dennis, but he didn't really go so hard for the training push-up for Georgia because I think he just wanted to show up and make sure he could securely take that victory without having beaten himself up or pushing any records or anything. I think he was still doing singles, pretty happy, but I think he was just mostly just maintaining where he was at during that time. But since that match, he's made a significant strength push. And let me explain. I mean, that 125 on abbreviated rise, that is no trivial lift or difference on a regular rise lift. That is a slightly different lift, but harder, probably a little bit. It forces you to have to stabilize much more because your pronator is fully engaged while the weight's still attacking virtually almost the same amount of actual rise. Only a few pounds difference is taken off your rise, but that's as much as you can hit the rise with your pronator fully being attacked and engaged still under that tension. So I would argue that, yeah, that's why he's saying it applies to what he's going for a little more accurately, and that it's going to probably be one of the deciding factors in this match. I think that he's going to take Levan down because of his newfound pronation ability, and I'm going to explain why the form that he's using is more beneficial for what's going to happen at the table. I'm going to give my quick little rundown on top 5 in the world. I think Devon, Levan, Hermes Gasparini, Georgi Svetkov, and Vitaly Larratt. I think that's my honest top 5. You could say things, yeah, maybe Jerry Carteret might be able to take some of those guys in unique scenarios here and there, but not consistently beating any of those 5 guys. I'm sorry. Not right now, not from what we've seen. I'd love to throw him in the top 5, but he's not, you know. I would also like to still consider Dave Chafee somewhere up there, but he's probably in the top 10 now, just barely. But either way, I think what Travis said about Devon is pretty accurate. I don't think that for the rest of his career, so long that he stays healthy and all these things that he's doing to enhance his game, as long as his health stays on par and his training, you know, pretty much sticks with this trajectory or something like it, I think that he's not going to lose another match in his career for as long as he wants to. on the right arm. Now, to get to the most important aspect of this video, I want to talk about the difference in their lifts. Now, when Devon does his lift, £92. I'm only 135 pounds right now. When Devon comes in, he gets real low on his elbow. His arm is almost like vertical on the floor here. When he rises it up, his wrist is kicked back, like so. His wrist is kicked back, right? And that's how Devon does it. Oof. Now, that was 92. There's a 100-pound stack right here. 100 pounds. This should be significantly more difficult for me, but because of the way I'm going to do this with Levan's form, number one, the belt is higher off the ground for him, meaning he doesn't have to squat down as low as Devon, meaning he has the opportunity to use his leg as an anchor point, and he has a significant angle leaning off his leg with his tricep, along his tricep under his elbow. Another thing, his wrist is cupped. If you check the video, his wrist is cupped. That's after they say go. In a neutral position, Devon will have more engagement on the pronation because of his training in the neutral or kickback position. Devon is going to crack that wrist back if Levan can't get to his cup fast enough while Devon's engaged that much. But Levan is only able to engage that much pronation if he's got some cup going already. This is going to make a world of difference in their match. Now watch the difference. This is over 100 pounds. But Levan's form with a cupped wrist anchoring off of the thigh. And I can just, there, it's off the ground and I can hold it for a significant portion of time with the pronator engaged. I cannot do 100 pounds right this second the way that I just held that up with a kicked back wrist. It's a much harder lift, and I implore anybody that disagrees to attempt to do that lift with Devon's exact form and do it for a whole day. Do it for a couple days without failing. Make sure you're hitting the heavy single at about 85 to 90% your max intensity. Hit it, bump it off the ground, just hold it for a moment. There's no need to crank it off the ground that high and hold it like you're trying to. That demonstrates nothing about this lift. That's not what this lift is doing. That's not what it's training to do. It's not what it's tailored for. It's tailored to dominate from the go. It's tailored to dominate from a flat, neutral position. Because if you can engage maximally from that position, there's no need to do any further advancements yet. You've gotten your opponent beaten the advancement they're going to first try to go for. And I think that we are in for the Devon Larratt show. Big time. Now I do pumpkin training. I started every day, just like Guy Devon trains. I do the same thing every single day. I pump out my heavy singles on rise, and now I've changed it a little bit to abbreviated rise. I also do the pronation with Devon's form primarily every day, as many times as I can a day. And I'm doing recovery in between. I'm doing multi-spinner work outside on the table. I got my pulley system right there, hooked up to the table. I'll go, when I'm doing lightweight with the multi-spinner, I'll do anywhere from 25 to 45 pounds. And then when I'm hitting heavy singles on the multi-spinner, right now I'm up to about 75 on low cup and about 70 on high cup for a single. And on Pronation, back in October of last year, I was at about 71 pounds with a lot of struggle and with really horrible form, to be honest. And now my form has cleaned up a lot, cleaned up significantly, and I've jumped up over around 30 pounds now in weight. I've been able to hit 102 pounds a couple weeks ago on the Pronation lift, doing it just like Devon at 135-pound body weight. So take that for what it's worth, and finally this year I'm winning first place pretty easily at the last few tournaments I've shown up at. And I implore any lightweight that thinks in the 154 category in this country or in the world, I would love to pull you to prove that I am better, or if not right there with you. If you're the best guy, I mean, I'm 135, but I'll take anybody in the world at 154. And once I get my body weight up to about 160, I'll be ready to grab probably a world title in that 176 category as well. So keep on the lookout for me, Mike Katoya. That's my thoughts on the Levan versus Devon lift, Levan versus Devon match. That's my breakdown of what this channel is going to kind of include. I'm going to talk about those things, these kinds of topics, matches that are coming up, important ones. I'm going to talk about upcoming events, competitions that I've competed at, training approach, all those kinds of things, different techniques. I'm going to show a lot of practice footage and training footage for sure. So get ready for that, a lot of that. The pumpkin is real. The pumpkin works. The pumpkin gets results. It's pretty visible. Which arm has more overall form and mass to it? Party arm. Big brother. Have a great one, guys. Stay strong. Love arm wrestling. Yeah.